Hello. I wasn't planning to do this video today, but the universe had other ideas, and so here I am doing this and recognizing this Gemini energy coming in and huge other astrological things happening today. So you may experience revelations today, you may be having things happening, you may be getting changes of plan. And being able to adapt to all of this is so key to people who are living the Red Skywalker reality. So, doing the inner work to change the inside, to change the outside. Today is a really magical day because it's the second day of Red Earth 52-day new process. And just want to say a big thank you to all the lovely people that are getting involved in this process on a deeper level. It's a huge amount of information, I know, and it's not for everybody. So if you're watching this video, there's something distinctive about you that is different to the masses. And at this time, of course, it's a very potent time for changing our reality by doing this inner work. So today I was meant to be working with a client, but the universe changed that. So now I've got a space and I've really been having so many amazing downloads today. So I'm going to share those with you. Where are we? We're here on day 2, which is white lunar mirror. And with every day 2, in every 13-day cycle, it's new learning. So maybe yesterday on Red Earth, you set an intention and you sent it out to the universe. And today you'll be getting some new answers back, new learning, maybe about the shadow as well. Maybe you're reactively experiencing a shadow story in the holograph in some way. Remember, mirror is part of the Red Skywalker clan. So Red Skywalker, White Mirror, Blue Knight, and Yellow Star. If you're one of those signs, then this is key for you about becoming an expert on the holograph, the expert on your ancestral story, and changing it, becoming a conscious dreamer. Of course, that's true for everyone on some level. In particular, though, for you, it's a very important aspect of your journey. The planet is Neptune, so it's letting go of our delusions and illusions, our coping mechanisms, so we can become very aware of clarity, where we need to focus, where we're living a lie in some way, we're living a coping mechanism in some way, we're not fully rooted, we're not grounded. Challenging in this Gemini energy really shows you where you are, doesn't it? I remember we're in the embodiment process now with Uranus in Taurus. We're seeing where we actually are rather than where we think we are, because it's a very different space, of course. And as these veils start to come off now, our coping mechanisms are crumbling as well in order for us to see the reality of what we're creating. Red Earth is a master Mayan sign. It's number 17 and its planet is Uranus. So again, as I've just said, Uranus in Taurus on the planet. Where Uranus is in your chart is a big light bulb place, so that you can really start to shine some light on your shadow story. Remember, the shadow story is where the gold is. It's where we've had our power taken away. It's where we need to be working on where we're stuck in our timeline, quite often in our childhood, where we've had trauma, where there's something still running our bus from that old program. So Red Earth 52-day process is a powerful time. It's going to take us through White Dog as the next 13-day process. So we're going to really be tuning in on our ancestral patterning. We're then going to be going into Blue Night to rewire, transform our unconscious dreams that are playing deep down in the meta program using NLP terms. So our unconscious stuff that we may not be aware of yet. And the whole thing about this process is becoming aware of our stuff. That's the most important focus. Don't get distracted by anybody else's. And then we go into Yellow Warrior. So Yellow Warrior is the warrior of the heart who is learning how to track using Carlos Castaneda terms, become a tracker, become a dreamer more and more. And I think that's what this time is really about. It's a combination of shamanic strategies, knowing what your strategies are, your inner structure, your mission impossible is revealed with the Mayan calendar, and in a very in-depth way once you start to really map it deeply. And also in your astrology, of course, it's there, your map, your guide to the stars. And since the 15th of December, I've been going deeper and deeper with this within myself. And so as I'm doing that, I'm becoming more self-aware about my patterns and codes, then I can help other people map theirs too. And just digging this out again. So this was my initial, it's not up to date either because I don't use this a lot. There we go. This was my very first calendar that I bought in Glastonbury at a workshop. And that was in 2011 on Red Skywalker Day. Back then, I didn't realise the significance of that. I just bought the calendar, started to move the blue tack. As you can see, this calendar is a very different format to mine. It has lots more information. It has a different pattern. It doesn't have the portal days on it. And I made the one that I've just showed you. I have made that. If you want to download one for yourself to use it, go onto my blog, flowwithjo.com, go under resources, Mayan calendar is there, synchronizer it's called, and there's a link on there to find it. If you want one and you can't find it on there, just send me a message on the contact form and I'll send you a link so that you can. Better still, I shall put a link under this video. Okay, I will do that. I'll put a link so that if you wish, you can download it, you can print it off, you can laminate it, and you can start moving the blue tack yourself. And as I say, you can get lots of different formats. It may not be the one for you. Follow the cosmic cookie trail to the one that's the perfect one for you at this time. This was the one that initiated me. And yes, this is a huge amount of information even. And I've resisted it for a very long time when I first got activated by a blue solar eagle, Anton, who came to work with me back in 2010, I think it was 2010. And strangely enough, another blue solar eagle came with me on this workshop and bought a calendar. Both of them had connections to Spain. Both of them were Sagittarians. Now, once you start to learn how to map code, this is how you can unveil your own personal mystery. And this is really, really the magic of it. You can start to see how everything has been coded, everything has been written. And that's the key first step, really, for the initiate who is starting to become very self-aware, to know thyself in magical terms, in the great work terms. Know yourself, know your code, know where you've been, Know what you're here for because of that. And then you can start to rewire your code in a whole different way as the conscious dreamer. This bit down here, I had this calendar and I was moving the blue tack every day and I was tuning in to what I needed to know, and I was following my cookie trail and learning. And 4 years went by, and then one day I looked at this and I thought, wow, what's that? I've not really noticed that before, because there is so much to look at and learn, and life's going on, of course, as well. And in Glastonbury, that's quite dynamic around bringing your stuff up and your shadow story up to heal. So here, I recognised that glyph as my Mayan sign. And so I started on that day to do some research, found a video and found that these are 13 clear signs that are on the tomb of Pakal Votan in Palenque, the Temple of Inscriptions. He was discovered in 1952, I think. And also the Red Queen at a later date was discovered. Red Queen being very significant. Google those terms or put them in the search band in my blog and have a look at 13 clear signs if you feel to, because these are the process. Pakal Votan's sign is on here. He is a yellow galactic sun, which is that one. And so in plain language, that is about healing our wound story, healing our shadow story, so we can be free of it, so we can clear the template off and connect to the galactic sun in spiritual speak. So I can love myself because I've healed whenever I've not felt loved, and I have direct access to the divine. I become free of my story. I start to live a new story, literally. Essential to this is tapping, EFT, clearing the amygdala. There's loads of other modalities, meditation, massage, Reiki, loads of other things that you can do. They won't rewire your amygdala though. They won't clear off the old story in the way that EFT will if you learn how to do it using the movie technique. Again, Google all of this stuff, or if you want to know more about how to do that with me, message me on my contact form and I'll be happy to chat to you about how this works. It's amazing stuff. So, first thing about rooting yourself, it's time to unlearn. It's time to notice where you feel any sort of stress about new learning, new languages, new ways of being, and recognize that this is your old storyline running in some way and key to how we've been conditioned. And just to say a little bit more about that, I did my NLP training at a wonderful place that's no longer open, sadly, because the people have retired. The Northern School of NLP in Clitheroe was an amazing journey for me, and I'm just revisiting that. Again, if you're interested in learning more about how to use language, the importance of language, the language of light, releasing the shadow stories, that is an amazing, great book, and it goes into literally code with some amazing models of people who were so gifted and then studied, and then their techniques were put into a formula, into a template, so that we can use them. And using them in EFT is really, really powerful too. NLP is often very misunderstood and very misused. When it's used from a place of heart healing and light, it is dynamically transformative. So if you haven't experienced energy coaching with EFT and NLP, using all these cosmic codes, prepare to be amazed, because it's working at a whole different level. And this is the magic. Okay, so today, the holograph. What are we seeing reflected back in a new way? If you're doing transformative change with clearing your amygdala off, your world starts to change, and it can start to change very quickly once you get focused on knowing what has unrooted you, which is what this whole 52-day process is about, and also how to rewire yourself so that you heal these family stories. That's the most important thing. That's what's going to make you shift. All of the other stuff that goes with this framework helps you focus each day on what the universe is bringing in. So with the mind cosmology, and also with the astrology. That's how I work with it. And when you ask to be shown every day what you need to know, what you need to work with, your higher self, however you see that, will intuitively guide you. And today for me, it was about my ancestors and ancestry. My mum now lives with me, and I'll come back to this in more detail in a moment. Today is my dad's Mayan sign. My dad is no longer on the planet. So he died in 2018. And that was a very, very significant time for me as well. And lots of new changes, new beginnings for me at that time. And also my beloved Basil died as well, my long-term companion, just after my dad. My dad was cremated on my grandmother's birthday. And for me, my personal line that I'm transforming is my mum's mum as a red Skywalker, a red crystal Skywalker. So my mum has been doing a lot of family tree research, and so we found another thread today. And the reason for me for doing this is, first of all, I can map the code, so I can map all my family members when I've got dates of birth, and you can do this too. And this is wow, because then you start to do a family constellation and you can see how your DNA has been shaped up to now, how your personal story's been crafted, and how you're the next cog in the wheel. And if you're watching this, and if you're doing this work, and if you're healing yourself, then you're literally healing your ancestral line. You're healing your DNA. You are changing it. When you do energy work, it is all about love. It is about letting go of conditional love in some way, letting go of the fear story, letting go of projections. That's what today is all about. And how to actually move on and do something new with all this amazing knowledge. So it's well worth doing on every level, not just for you, but for your whole family line. Healing your DNA, realizing where it's all come from. So, for example, understanding previous generations' patterns and codes. Of course, we can't know for sure because they're not here. They may not know. Most people aren't consciously aware of why things happened. We can do all sorts of shamanic journeys. We can do NLP exercises to connect that energy, because it's still there somewhere in the quantum universe, because there is no past, present and future. There is only this moment on one level, and everything else is running at the same time. So once we become really aware of this, and we can go back, we can go forward, and we can start to see the pattern and start to really become a dream weaver, which is so magical. And it may sound woo-woo. In my experience, it works. That's all I can share is my experience. So Divinity Codes today. So we've got the Sun in Gemini at 0 degrees today, so ground zero. We've got waxing moon in Virgo, and as I'm making this video, that is at 22 degrees. The chaotic number, I'm just putting it in to get the code up for you. The chaotic number on one level, the sacred feminine, the Mary Magdalene, a master builder code, 2222, add them together, number 4. And we're in the 4th process, the 4th castle of red earth. So we're working with a new structure now based on all the other castles that have come before. We're now rooting into the earth, we're birthing the new earth from whatever is inside of us, our seed. And the more that we do the healing, the more we can unlock the star seed, the more that we can shine our light. Virgo 22 moon, a woman writing with the tip of her fingernail, sharply attuned, self-consistent, always telling the same story in variations, autobiography. So much to say, such a lineage to articulate and reveal, being brilliantly tuned in to every nuance of your own superfine sensibility and not missing a stitch. Eerily intent upon staying on course and witnessing how it is done, why it is done with dispassionate gaze. Selected by destiny to be the one to exemplify the way it should be done. Willing and able to do this forever and do nothing else. So straight and narrow that it becomes idiosyncratic and self-referential. The name of the game is to call the shots, to stay on top of the situation and to tap every level of intelligence to make your way purely and precisely where you were intended to be and the master plan being followed utterly. Lovely. And the more you get free of your old conditioned past on every level, change your mindset, change your beliefs, you start to live a very different life. So you unlock your secrets, you unlock your gifts, and your reflection starts to change, which is what today is about. White lunar mirror is what has been hidden by the emotions, by the unconscious, by the mother. That's what the moon represents on some level. And so I can't pronounce that name. Amaterasu. That's my best guess. Reflection. Be with me when the noise of the storms of life frighten me. Help me emerge from the cave of darkness to see the reflection of the goddess that resides in us all. The mirror that we had as a child, as in what people reflected back to us, is often coming from people who are full of shadow story, full of fear, full of everything that's happened to them and all the previous generations. And so often much of this persona telling us how to be may come from a well-intentioned place in some cases, may come from a malevolent place in others, mostly coming from a very unconscious place. So as a child coming pure from spirit, often we may have spoken truth that wasn't full of conditioned mindset yet and couldn't be heard by the people in our world, the adults in our world. the children in our world, we came in and experienced the ancestral story in its pure form. And then how that impacted on us, how that affected us, how that shaped our beginning. So we look in the fourth house, and the I see what I call the stairway to heaven. This gives really amazing information for people who are willing to look at that crucible, at that formation point. Language of light. Language of light in the unlearning is a very different position to what we may have been formally educated with, for example. And often in Western society, education is revered. It can be quite a snobbery system as well. There can be judgment placed on people who didn't receive an education, for example. In many cases, though, people who were dyslexic, for example, who didn't learn in a traditional way, who may have had very little formal education, can magically be free of the conditioned mindset. So there's lots of different ways, different perspectives to look at education. So again, this is an amazing book, and it brings in different language, different cards to regular oracle cards. I know there's an absolute amazing choice now of cards. I'm just going to read you this. I'll put that there so that you can see, so you can stop the video if you wish. And look at that for yourself and read it out for yourself. Qualities: gateway, direct access, transmissions, feelings, preparation for ascension, transcendent consciousness. This lens heralds your approach to an interdimensional gateway. Be watchful. The language of light, the energy of your God self, is assisting you in the crafting of your light body. This loving creation occurs through subtle transmissions of energy that can be sensed as pulses of light, colour, sound, or heightened vibration. Trust and develop this sacred language. It is encoded in your feelings. You will know when you have been touched by this abstract language, when you have a sudden sense of union, transcendence, or expanded perception. Learn to use your feelings as your spiritual steering mechanism. Let your heart be your compass. Allow this ancient mode of communication to spark memories of your purpose and destiny. Symbols act as a means for decoding this abstract language. You do not have to understand symbols. Their meaning affects you on a superconscious level that permeates all aspects of your being. Rather than relying on meanings fixed in memory, be receptive to your innate responses to symbols and metaphors. Let them ignite your own mythic coding, acting as a rapid transit between realities. Colours are also part of this language. Notice and work with the colours that strongly attract you. Remember, you are the knower. Fly into the pure state of consciousness where there are no words. Open to receive your native tongue, the galactic language of light. Feel the pulse of reunion, lovingly tendered as a gift of grace. Again, recognizing that colours come in as prisms, perceptions, and different beings see different colours. Some people don't see colours. The eyes, the window to the soul. I just had a lovely memory on Facebook as well, which I had completely forgot, and how the face represents the zodiac as well. So another holograph there. So I'll post a link to that as well. We are the magician. And I just want to read you again a little excerpt that I read last night. The Prince and the Magician. Once upon a time, there was a young prince who believed in all things but three. He did not believe in princesses. He did not believe in islands. He did not believe in God. His father, the king, told him that such things did not exist. As there were no princesses or islands in his father's domains and no sign of God, the prince believed his father. But then one day the prince ran away from his palace and came to the next land. There, to his astonishment, from every coast he saw islands, and on these islands strange and troubling creatures whom he dared not name. As he was searching for a boat, a man in full evening dress approached him along the shore. "Are those real islands?" asked the young prince. "Of course they are real islands," said the man in evening dress. "And those strange and troubling creatures?" "They are all genuine and authentic princesses." "Then God must also exist," cried the prince. "I am God," replied the man in evening dress with a bow. The young prince returned home as quickly as he could. "So you are back," said his father, the king. "I have seen islands. I have seen princesses. I have seen God," said the prince reproachfully. The king was unmoved. "Neither real islands, nor real princesses, nor a real God exist. I saw them." "Tell me how God was dressed." God was in full evening dress. Were the sleeves of his coat rolled back? The prince remembered that they had been. The king smiled. "That is the uniform of the magician. You have been deceived." At this, the prince returned to the next land and went to the same shore, where once again he came upon the man in full evening dress. "My father, the king, has told me who you are," said the prince indignantly. "You deceived me last time, but not again. Now I know that those are not real islands and real princesses, because you are a magician." The man on the shore smiled. "It is you who are deceived, my boy. In your father's kingdom there are many islands and many princesses, but you are under your father's spell, so you cannot see them." The prince pensively returned home. When he saw his father, he looked him in the eye. "Father, is it true you are not a real king, but only a magician?" The king smiled and rolled back his sleeves. "Yes, my son, I'm only a magician." Then the man on the other shore was God. The man on the other shore was another magician. "I must know the truth beyond magic." "There is no truth beyond magic," said the king. The prince was full of sadness. He said, "I will kill myself." The king, by magic, caused death to appear. Death stood in the door and beckoned to the prince. The prince shuddered. He remembered the beautiful but unreal islands and the unreal but beautiful princesses. "Very well," he said, "I can bear it." "You see, my son," said the king, "you too now begin to be a magician." That's from the Magus by John Fowles. As we begin to become clear of the spell of the father, the spell of the patriarchy now, we're starting to relive and experience the magic. So this card, the Magus, again, I'll put a link on the bottom. Again, as always, elitarotstrikingly.com with loads and loads of info on there. When the magician is thrown during a reading, it implies communication and timing, and that all things are possible with applied will and understanding. There is an implication of the magic of universal vital force travelling through the human body, making one in tune with the most creative and powerful aspects of yourself. As above, so below. Changing the structure of your living situation by focused action, will and focused consciousness. An awareness of power and possession and communication of the powers, focused will that fertilizes creativity in oneself and others, and gifts of divine senses, and so much more than that. So check out the link if you want to know more. Remember, the world always has to reflect what we believe to be true, and that we've inherited the will of the Father and the Mother. And this is the fourth house, and what we come here as a Red Skywalker to recreate. So initiating this process today as well, we have got some amazing astrology. We have got a square with Sun at 0 Gemini, squaring Jupiter at 0 Pisces. So we're literally in between worlds. And again, where Gemini is in your chart is really influential right now, and what planets you have there, which house it is. Also where Pisces is, also where your Sun is, and also where Jupiter is, and if you have any 0 degrees. This is going to be my mum's wave spell that she's going to be working with this year, because on her birthday, it's her birthday on the 9th day, which is Red Solar Serpent. So that's coming up. And so there we are, Red Solar Serpent, which is a portal day. And my mum is a galactic portal. She's a red resonant serpent. She's in my wave spell as number 7. I'm number 9. And I'm going on holiday with her and my children for her birthday. It's her 80th birthday. And when I added all our mind signs together, it comes to my mum's mind sign. So this is the real magic of how you can start to use and see the magic in the universe, understand the bigger picture plan that we're all a part of at this time. And most importantly, recognize that you're the divine embodied, and that you have access to all of this amazing information and tools to use should you choose to use them. Back to more code for today. So as I said, my dad is today's energy as a white lunar mirror. I am a blue solar hand, and when you add those together, you get blue spectral hand. Blue spectral hand is here and is the 11th day of this wave spell. So by the time we get to the 11th day of blue spectral hand, this is going to be very significant. Now it's just said that the recording was paused, so I'm hoping that that has recorded that bit. Oh, we've also got Mercury going into retrograde as well on the 29th. So we're in the shadow at the moment. That just made me remember that. So I'm going to say that again, in case it didn't record. Everything that's ever happened to us has been logged in our mind. Some parts of it are hidden because they're not ready to be accessed yet, or because they've been traumatic, so it's a way of protecting ourselves. Of course, we cannot access all the information of all of this because we'd be overwhelmed. And sometimes when we get too much information coming in that doesn't compute with the program that we're running, we can feel overwhelmed, we can feel stressed. At the moment, you might be having to learn lots of different new things because things have changed so massively on the planet. So just notice that. Again, emotional freedom technique, if you learn it, can really help you calm yourself down and come into a grounded, centered space. If you've got big change happening, and hey, who hasn't got big change happening right now? This can help you unlock your secrets. It can help you change your inner world. And as a planetary server, you changing your inner world, unlocking your secrets, healing your trauma will change the world. So it's just the opposite to what we've been conditioned to believe, because certain power structures in the world are not wanting individuals to be empowered. And if we look at our history over, say, just since the 1950s, it's so powerful. I've been watching programs on sugar recently. I've been noticing all the same patterns around that, noticing how certain human beings are selling things to other human beings under the pretext that they're good, that they're desirable, that they're going to help them live a better life, that they're going to help them enjoy life. Scientifically, the food companies, for example, have mapped bliss codes, your bliss levels, and wired food ingredients accordingly in order to hit those targets and in order to manipulate consumers by creating very addictive foods. Said consumers aren't aware that they are being targeted in this way, and so can easily get hooked. Now, it's the same pattern again with all of these stories. It's about taking personal responsibility now and realizing that often we have been deceived by people who we've trusted. So we've been deceived by the medical industry, we've become very codependent. Instead of making healthy life choices about where we need to live, where we need to move to, what relationships we need to be in, many people will often numb out with food, with alcohol, with popping a magic pill. And we know what the latest version is of that, of how we're going to be safe on planet Earth if we just follow certain guidelines and certain rules and do what we're told from certain companies. And if you look deeply, they're all the same pattern, they're all the same thread. This is a narcissist pattern. This is a parasite. This is the energy vampire. These are the myths of old that have all been woven into horror stories for us to pay attention to. There are some very, very strong NLP methods being used on planet Earth now in a way that isn't balanced, that isn't healthy, that isn't loving or respectful, that isn't being done with informed consent. So the counter action for that is for us as individuals to become very self-aware, to focus on our own personal healing, to get clear and free in our own smaller circle of influence, stop putting anything toxic into us, stop living in toxic environments, heal ourselves, heal the earth through doing that, stop whatever is going on the earth, on Gaia, Goddess. This is our home. She supports us. She supports all sentient beings. All the prophecies show that this is the end of time so that new ones can begin. There have been so many stories of genocide. There have been so many stories of people being displaced, still happening right now. And in order to stop this pattern, people can now learn how to stop the pattern within them and come into their power. It's already written. Is it written for you? Are you aligning with your new story? Are you birthing your new earth? Are you ready to look deeply at those roots, rewire them, and move from survival into thriving because of your inner work? If you'd like to know more about this process, if you'd like to learn about the next 52-day process so you can get involved, because that's going to be very magical in the Green Castle, please do get in touch and we can have a chat on Zoom wherever you are in the world. We can connect and unlock some more secrets, learn new tools, co-create and expand at this magical time. Today as well, I forgot to mention this, there's a special Venus transit. So Venus is in Gemini right now, and Venus went out of bounds on the 18th. What does that mean? It's a very magical time where, just to put it in plain language, I will put on a link underneath as well from Astro Butterfly, who does amazing articles. So just to focus on how we're not bound by our personality right now. We've got an ability to communicate in the language of light in a whole different way. That's what it is in a nutshell. And this energy continues until June 23rd. So until just after the summer solstice. So it's a really, really magical time to communicate what we value, communicate what we love, get really focused on it with this Jupiter at 0 degrees as well, and Gemini at 0 degrees today. Look at your bigger picture, look at what's coming back at you in the world, look at what's possible. What's your heart's desire? Where do you want to be on the earth? What do you want to learn? What do you want to do? All that Gemini energy, you know, do you want to travel somewhere? It's been tricky, hasn't it? Some people have still traveled though. Just notice that. Tune in to your heart's desire. Tomorrow is the day of alchemy and it's blue electric storm. So tomorrow you will be able to alchemize what's come up for you in this blue storm year. Everything that started since July the 26th, that's really been pushing your buttons, that's been taking you out of your center. Tomorrow will be a big day for focusing on that. And if you know how to tap on any big triggers that have been coming up for you, especially this week, because it's here, it's now. So go with that. And this is your shadow story, remember. Change how you look at the world and everything changes. Be the magician. Be the witch. Be the moon goddess. We're going back to these old magical times. We're remembering who we really are. And we are birthing the new earth through doing that process. So I hope you have an amazing 52-day cycle and you share your beautiful goddess self. Lots of love.